Hey people, I created this parody cover to help image, what the Bible was actually about. And it's the whole E. So E represents life in the ancient language, same as the Ankh, the whole life by bull. The Holy Bible. On the new editions they'll write it like this, but this H here is the E. If they were to put an H there, it would pronounce CH. And so the E is the H, and it just means the. And the all, O-L, they'll tell you in Hebrew that all means on, but it means all. And the Y is the hand, represents work. The all work by bull. And so people don't understand what bull means anymore. They've changed the meaning of it. And you can see it here in Proverbs 5:1, wisdom to a son. And it's the logo is parable. Parable lesson whose, O-U-S. The logo is parable, the lesson whose. And so parable means para along with the bull is a story of lesson, L-E-S-O-N, of lesson whose. Whose to hear, the ear. And it's only a lesson to the ones who have ears to hear. To vie is not a son, it's to strive. To compete eagerly with someone in order to do or achieve something. To vie, to strive. And the much, strive the much. Too much. Sophia, to the wisdom. For sex, for sex. Them of is. The logo. The word is, along with the bull, a lesson whose. So this word, for sex, the X is the CH, and so it's proseach. And proseach isn't a word used. I don't know if it could be found, but you can see the base in this word, prosaic. And it's a characteristic of prose as distinguished from poetry. It's factual, dull, unimaginative, prosaic, a vice. It's like my movies, I try to skip out the bull and proseach and forseek. Beseech means in seek, when you're in seeking something, and ask urgently. You're in seeking. And so forseech, proseech means, to go for, to seek. And so, strive the much. So fire is the wisdom. So fire foresee. Them of is, the logo is parable, lesson whose. So those who are seeking wisdom, if you're striving hard, them to seek the wisdom foreseek. Them who is, the good place to find it is in the D is the THE, and the logo is, along with the bull, lesson whose. This is why I study the logos. This is the word of logos, and this is Nike, the logo of victory, and this is the logo of the valley of a cur. This is the logo of a bite of knowledge. So when I first started this, I throwed out my TV about 11, 12 years ago, and I shut everybody out, and I just looked into my own mind, and I studied the logos, the first logo and the meanings. This is where our alphabet come from. These same logos turned into these, what they call Hebrew, the brew, and they still had the picture meanings. And this evolved into our alphabet, and we recognize these letters now. We just think that they have sounds, but they actually have meanings to them. And so I studied all the older, more ancient picture meanings before I got here, but this is a good place to start. And I use this as my go-to when I first started. I made a copy of this, and I carried it with me all the time like I was in the first grade. And every time I saw a word, I would break it down into the letter meanings to see what that word used to mean. And I found out that a lot of our English is still the exact same as the ancient language. And there was just a couple things that they were trying to hide. And the ancient X was drawn as a plant, the tazadi. And they don't want to put it in here, but it means the plant. It's where your word czar come from, T-Z-A-R, and the czar is to plant a head, to plant your own style of government. And you can see in here, that it has meaning. You have an eye with a tear coming out of it. It means tears. It means the layers, the tiers of the pyramid, the layers. The owl is the ancient letter M in Egypt. But it's also the owl, they say it means eternity, forever. And it comes from the owl's eyes that are the infinity sign. And so the layers, forever. And people are going to hate this, but this represents heaven. This is hisses. The serpent is hisses. And that's the first line in the Hebrew Bible when it says the heaven. No, it's hisses. And so the tears forever, the hisses, the heavens, life. And so, along with the bull, parable, hissism. The parable hisses, the parable of the heavens. But this hisses is also where your word Jesus come from, J-E-S-E. And so this word Jesus, they say, well, there was no J. Well, there was a J. But you could also pronounce that as Y-E-S-I-S, yeses. And yeses is an ancient word that means these are the things that you're allowed. My baby girl, when she was 3, she would be in bed with her mama, and she would say, "Mama, I go get a snack, and you gonna say yes." And it meant that she knew that some snacks she couldn't have at bedtime, and some she could, and she figured out which ones she could have, and she would go to the kitchen and find her a snack and come back and ask Mama, and Mama would say yes. And that's yeses, or the things that you're allowed, or Jesus, are yeses, and along with the yeses. And so these are the things that you can do. And you see it here, this little curl here, you see it on a lot of the old coins. It was on the ruler. You see it on the hat of the king of Egypt, and it's an L, and it means the L, the tongue, the word. It's where your word logo comes from. The L is the tongue. And that's what this is. The square here is a P, and it means the face. And then this is the symbol for appease. So the face to appease, and this is what's open. The face means open. It's out there for everybody to see it. And you see that in the Greek letter P that looks like these two columns and a line will go over the top of it, and it represents the front porch that's open before you have to go through the door. And that's what this square represents, the open for all to see, the appease, L, of, the appeasing of the law, And so these are the law of things that you're allowed, of the parable Jesus, along with the allowance. And that's where serapes come from. It's not parapes, along with the bull, but it's now Sarah, and that means will be appeased. And they say this was the base of Jesus. You can see it in the Tamil language, yeses or excel, to go ahead. Yes, you're okay. Yeses, that's what you can do. And in the Hindi, yesa, like this. This is the way it can be done. Yesa. So when the ancient Chiro soldier shows up, this is a RXXR. Everything reads backwards and forwards, and it's the RX is the rich, RCH, the rich, and the XR is the czar, the rich czar. And when the rich czar soldiers showed up and tried to tell you what you can't do, the people says, oh yes is we can, Jesus. And that's where that battle cry come from, the yeses. So if you look in this Septuagint, you'll see that all these words, I believe, are all spelled the same. But the difference is now it has directional markings. And so you read this the same the first time, the same as you did here. Vie, to strive, the much Sophia proceech. Them of is, the logo is parable, lesson whose. And then when you come back and you read it with the directional markings. And so it changes this to why, vi, meaning why or who. Vi, why he comes, the much Sophia. If as, and then a prosech, a proceech. And so, when you put an A in front of something, it means not. And aproseek. And not forseeks is some, move the S over, is not forseeks is some. Them always, them calls, the logo is parable, lesson, and then as, OS, and then the W, and the curl up here tells you grab the O again, was, as was. And why who come them has a phi, if as aprosechacy, some them calls, the logo is along with the bull, the lesson, as was. And so in order to get the Sophia, the wisdom, you have to learn the logos along with the bull, along with the story that's told with the logos. So, the to appease, the open appease law, the law of the land, to appease the bull. And along with the bull, the pair of bull, to pair with the bull, is Jesus. The parable of Jesus is ancient knowledge. It was before Genesis was written. Parable, along with the bull, hisses, Jesus, which are allowed to do. Before they put Jesus in the tree, it was a serpent in the tree. It was the serpent. It was in the tree of life, and he was telling you what you could do. Hey, you could eat of this fruit here. All the cults, they call this the tree of life, the ox of Hayim, tree of life. They all understood that Jesus is the serpent, is what you can do. And if you're interested what was in the tree of life, it's in this playlist called Summon the Mother of All Gods. Starts with the ancient art of boofing. And there's 3 videos in there, and it hits the Greek and the Hebrew and tells the story of what actually happened in the garden. So in the Hebrew, the wisdom comes around this word, the checkmate. When you playing chess, checkmate. Whoever's wise are going to get the checkmate. And so the people that don't understand this language, they call it chakma, the wisdom. And you can see all the words, that come from chess in there. The check me, and the block, and the nibble. And you don't see it here, but this little line down here tells you to read this. The B is N, and then it's N-I. And the little line tells you to grab this letter again, B-B. N-I, in nibble, N-I-B-B-L-E, in nibble. You nibble away when you're playing chess. And so when the nibble come tie, that's a draw. When you both wore each other's pieces down enough, you don't have enough pieces to checkmate somebody, and the nibble come tie. In nibble come tie the feasible. If it's feasible with the ability, the tab unity. A tribune is the head of the tribe, tribune, and a tabune is the head of the writings, tabunity. And that's why when you look in the Greek, it's got this word logos, take heed to my end words. The logo is, and you don't see it here in the Hebrew because it's right here. It's the tab that's written, the writings in unity is the logos, the tab unity. And the feasible of the head of the writings to unite, unite. Little diamond up here as you move the I over. The tab unity. ETHAZNK. It has knock. It has fit in. In nibble come tie, feasible tabunity. It has knock. NK is a knock. It's on the back of the arrows, and it means to fit in. It has fit in. In nibble come tie, the feasible tabunity, the writings in unity. It has knock. It has fit in. And then when you come back the second time, this reads as a T. It says not. So it changes meaning. Has knock, has fit in, and has not fit in. And then you come back and read it again, obeying the other set of marks. You're obeying these directional marks and the ones on the top. In nil, checkmate. MT is ancient English for with, mit. And so in not check with, makility, MKHL, and then ITI. You come back and read this ITI. And makility. And so ility is a suffix of various desirable qualities. The ability, ility. The able, ility is the various desirable ilities. So in nil checkmate makility, in not check with the make of the desired quality, makility, the desired quality of making, MK, of making. In not check with makility. The phies, to defy is to go against, and so the phi, is the power to go with. The phies of let in, and then UNTI. You don't read the diamond on the second time. That was the mark of the first time, and it's in until. You come back and grab this L. Until it cons as not. Until it cons, con is the priest, and it's the control. The cons as not control. So in nibble come tie, as you chisel all the pieces off and it comes tie, the feasible tabunity, the feasible, the possible of united writings of tabunity, the feasible tabunity. It has knock. It has fit in. NK is fit in. And then when you come back the next time, you're reading with your higher knowledge and you know that this is a T. And then you come back and you read it in nil, in not check with makility, the good qualities of making, a feasible. What is possible, the feasible. And tab, the writings, until it cons as not. until it control the priests, the Kahns. It controls is not. Until you take the control back from, you're not going to be able to understand this until you get rid of all the Kahns. And the Kahns are the priests. In Hebrew and in Greek, Kahns are the priests. You got to get rid of everything that the priest told you about this bullshit in order to understand, is what Proverbs 1 says. The wisdom to the son. You got to forget what the Kahn told you. In the Hebrew, avoid immortality. Avoid immortality? Well, that's what everybody wants. And so that's a good reason to read this. So anybody who says the parables of Jesus, you can automatically discount them because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Because Jesus is the parable. He's along with the bull, is what that means. Jesus means the things that are allowed along with the bull. The parable is the Jesus, and it means what is allowed along in the writings, along in the stories. What is yes, what you can do, the yeses. So I had my channel monetized a couple years ago before YouTube changed the rules. And so I got back up and I qualified again. But YouTube let me know that they are never going to monetize my channel. And they're not going to tell me why. I qualify for everything. But they don't like what I'm talking about. So if anybody has an idea of a better platform where I might be able to get monetized, please let me know. And if you're interested in helping out the channel, you can look in the description here, and you go to this bonfire link, and it'll bring you to Strictly Educational Magic, and you can purchase a shirt here. But more important, I don't make but $2, $2.50 off the shirt, but make sure you watch this movie so you understand what this means on the front of this shirt and what's on the back of it. Don't feed me that shit, because I done picked the figs. And that movie explain all about that. So, thanks for watching.
Don't forget, hooty hoot, I won't forget.
Alright, I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.